Good Thursday evening to you. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining More Sports and Les Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. We will be joined by Cleveland State men's basketball head coach Dennis Gates a little later in the show. Plenty of Browns and Chiefs to talk about it, so let's get right after it. One guy who knows all too well just how explosive Kansas City can be with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce is Browns defensive coordinator Joe Woods. He saw it firsthand in the Super Bowl when he was the secondary coach for the 49ers and the Chiefs pulled a comeback on him. He is more qualified than anybody to tell his guys, always be on your guard against Kansas City's big play offense.
Yeah, I've watched that game once. You know what I mean? It's kind of tough to watch, but no, they're explosive, and that's the thing. You can hold those guys down. I mean, I think we held them down pretty good until 6 minutes and 57 seconds left in the fourth quarter, to be exact. And then they went off, and they have the ability to do that at any point in the game. So, again, we're going to have to play our best game just to have a chance to, compete and win against these guys.
That's Joe Woods talking about that Kansas City offense when he was the secondary coach for the 49ers. Let's bring in Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com as well as for the Plain Dealer, Dan Labbe. Dan, what about it? I mean, if you are a Browns secondary member, you listen to Joe Woods, he has been there against this defense.
He has, and we've seen this defense, too, give up some big leads. Not all the way, but we've seen teams like the Steelers last week have big second halves. And the reality with Kansas City is it doesn't matter how much they're down, how late in the game it is. I mean, he mentioned the exact time, right? 6:57. And right around then is when they completed that crazy pass to Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs did. And they started that comeback from 10 points down. So this is an offense that is going to punish you if you make mistakes. And if you have a lead and you can't continue to build on it, this team can come back in an instant. It only takes them, a couple plays to get up and down the field, and they can close a gap quickly.
The other thing is field goals are not what you're looking for against this team. You better put it in the end zone because they will.
Yeah, I would imagine that the Browns aren't going to settle for too many field goals unless it's just an obvious, a 4th and 10 from like the 15-yard line or something. I think they're going to be very aggressive. I'm actually a little curious to see if maybe Kevin Stefanski might be aggressive going for 2 in a couple spots here and there. This is going to be a game all about points. I don't think we're looking at a low-scoring affair on Sunday.
The other thing is, though, the national media and whatnot is saying that, the Browns don't have a chance. I just don't see that. I think this can end up being a pretty close game.
I do too. And I think, from a national perspective, I think they're just a little bit behind on catching up to just how good this Browns football team is. I think they're acknowledging that this team has turned things around. Baker Mayfield has turned things around, but I don't think they quite understand just how hot this team has been and how well they've been playing. So they can go to Kansas City and this offense especially can hang with Kansas City's offense. You can find areas, the Browns are better at running back. The Browns are better at offensive line. There are areas where the Browns are better than the Chiefs. And so that's what really makes this game intriguing.
What about the way this team performed in that playoff game? I mean, down a number of guys, down their head coach, down a couple of offensive line coaches. And Baker Mayfield met the guy the day of the game who ended up playing left guard at the end of the game for him. I mean, there was a lot to overcome. There's a lot of things that this team should feel pretty good about.
It's a credit to what Kevin Stefanski has built, not just with his offensive system and his play calling, but just the structure of this team, that he can hand the keys to Mike Prefer for 3 or 4 hours on Sunday night and say, okay, you run this show and it's going to run smoothly. He can let Alex Van Pelt handle play calling duties. And Alex Van Pelt did a really good job calling plays in that game. I mean, he made the case to maybe some team out there, not this offseason, but maybe in the future. And you know what? I think Alex Van Pelt can handle play calling duties. He's pretty good at it. The coaching staff in general that Kevin Stefanski has put together, these guys are getting players like Blake Hance and Michael Dunn and MJ Stewart ready to play football. It's just a testament to everything Kevin Stefanski has built, from culture to system to coaching staff. He's really kind of put it all in place. So, in the biggest game of the year, it can actually all run without him even being there.
It's kind of interesting. There are areas that are of concern for the Browns. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in football, Cleveland Heights native, and Browns have had trouble with tight ends all year. Tyreek Hill is a guy that can get behind defenses, and the Browns have given up some big plays. So those are areas that are definitely concerns.
Yeah, Travis Kelsey is like a wide receiver playing tight end, and it's certainly not just the Browns that would have trouble with him. He does so many things well, and the thing he really does well is when Patrick Mahomes creates, when the play breaks down, which is really when Mahomes thrives, Kelsey always ends up in the right spot at the right time. Tyreek Hill does the same thing. And that's where it's really dangerous with this team. You can try and bottle up Patrick Mahomes, but he drops so deep and he makes it so hard on defenses to kind of get to his spot, a spot they're used to when they're rushing him. And then if they do get there, he's so good at stepping up and escaping. A flick of the wrist and the ball's 50 yards down the field to Tyreek Hill. This is a really scary offense, and go through all those weapons, but it really does start with Patrick Mahomes and his ability to create and his ability to just operate within chaos when things start to break down.
The other thing is if you watch him, there's usually 1 or 2 times a game where you're like, how did he throw the ball that far like that? I mean, he has that type of arm.
It's unbelievable. Obviously a few weeks ago, everyone was raving about that 70-yard throw that Baker Mayfield had at halftime or right before the half against the Ravens, and it was impressive. But, Patrick Mahomes makes throws like that in games. We see the no-look passes. We see him do kind of all these trick shot throws, but he does it because they work. And then when you mix in Andy Reid and his willingness to be creative and throw shovel passes to eligible linemen or get the ball in Travis Kelsey's hands in different ways. It's really what makes this Chiefs offense so difficult. There's so much eye candy around pre-snap, and then they'll use that stuff. So as a defense, it's really easy to get confused, and then they'll just be in the traditional way sometimes and go over the top to Tyreek Hill.
So we've given the doom and gloom on that side of the ball. Now on the other side of the ball, the Chiefs are not very good against the run. They're banged up at linebacker, which even makes that more interesting.
And the thing about the Browns is they're a big play offense, but it's not just through the air. We've seen Nick Chubb break off those big runs, and we've seen how Kareem Hunt runs the football. So, I don't think this is going to be a game where the Browns are just turning and handing the ball off 25, 30 times. I just don't think that's the team they are anymore. But what it does mean is when those opportunities present themselves, Nick Chubb could break off a 15-yarder and keep the chains moving. He could break off a 50-yarder and get to the end zone like he did against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. And that's what Kansas City has to be really nervous about is these running backs are so good at creating big plays, especially behind this offensive line. That's really where the Browns could be able to take advantage of this defense.
And you mentioned this defense. So one of the guys that is a key for them is Tyrann Mathieu, safety who they'll play up in the box. He's good against the run. He can play in coverage a little bit. They kind of move him all over the place. He's very, very good. He realizes the challenge that the Chiefs face with the Browns running backs, and he thinks the Chiefs are ready for the challenge.
Yeah, I think, really it's just a commitment, to each other. Obviously, it's a big challenge, and I think anytime, really over the last couple years, last 2 years, I think every time our defense has been challenged or had to step up to a challenge, I always feel like my guys, are ready and prepared. A lot of that has to do with the coaches. A lot of that has to do with individuals, taking it upon themselves to kind of stay committed and stay disciplined. But, I like my guys. We always rise, to the challenge. It's like a double-headed monster. When one checks out the game, another one comes in. Both of those guys are elite. I think in their own way, obviously, Kareem, he can do a lot, things out the backfield. They motion him out a lot in empty sets, trying to find a matchup. And, Nick Chubb's he reminds me of those old school runners. You know what I mean? Big, stocky, low to the ground, tough to tackle. So, and then both of those guys are good in the pass game, and they use them in the same way. So it can kind of get tricky, when you're watching film. But I'll describe him as a two-headed monster.
Tyrann Mathieu talking about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Let's bring Dan Labbe back in. Dan, he had it. You can tell he's been watching tape. He knows exactly what the Browns want to do.
Yeah, he offered a pretty solid scouting report of both of those guys. And that's always going to be the challenge with this offense for the Browns is they present these two guys in so many different ways. And, it can start with just one spelling the other. But then, I think the thing that kills you is if you're watching that tape from last week, you have to be aware of Kareem Hunt in the screen game, in the pass game. But then they hit Nick Chubb on that 40-yard screen. So they're not afraid to kind of throw to these guys in different ways. And if Nick Chubb's out there, you can't just say, oh, they're not going to throw to the back. They are going to throw to the back. They are going to split him out wide and try and do different things with him, even though he's maybe not quite as good at that stuff as Kareem Hunt. They're showing it, they're putting it on tape. And so there's no way that the defense can just be comfortable based on who's in the game and kind of know what's coming.
So the Kansas City still not sure if they're going to have a couple of their linebackers. It may force them into playing a safety kind of in the box, almost like a sub package, which I don't think you don't have to do that against the Browns with the way this offensive line and Hunt and Chubb are playing. They're not going to know until game time if they're going to have Willie Gay, one of their linebackers. Hitchens was banged up, so they're thinking he's going to go because he's practiced, but there's some concerns there.
And we've seen what Chubb can do when he gets into that second level and sees a safety. He's not afraid to put a stiff arm on somebody. He's not afraid to juke somebody. He's really slippery once he gets past that line. And Kareem, those runs in Pittsburgh, I've joked that whenever Kareem Hunt touches, it's like there's 10 guys hanging off of him. But he's just such a physical runner that, one guy will grab on and he'll just keep going and keep pushing. And we saw it in Pittsburgh on one of those touchdown runs. He won't stop. You've really got to gang tackle him and bring him down. And it just presents so many challenges with how physical both of these guys are, but also, especially in Chubb's case, how elusive he can be once he gets through the line.
Do you think part of the game plan calls to try to keep the ball, to keep it away, keep that offense off the field, the offense of Kansas City? Or you kind of touched on it. This isn't a run the ball, 50, 60 times. But if it's working, I think Kevin Stefanski may just keep feeding it.
I think he will. But one of the things I think we've seen really going back to the Jacksonville game is this team is fairly aggressive throwing the ball early now. And as that trust has grown in Baker Mayfield, they've sort of gone in the direction of passing early and trying to establish that passing game early. Against the Chiefs, look, if you can hold the ball and run some clock, that's great. But like we mentioned earlier, all it takes for the Chiefs is, a couple plays and they can score against you. So I think the Browns will come into this game with the way that this offense has been playing, and especially after last week when they put up 48 points. Obviously, one of those came on the bad snap, but they put up a ton of points against Pittsburgh last week. I don't think they're afraid to get into a little bit of a shootout with Kansas City. If they can control the clock, great. But if they've got to score 50 to win this game, I don't think they'll be afraid to go out there and try and score 50.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's defense, statistically at least, was a lot better. Kansas City's defense has struggled a little bit, without question. When you look at how this might play out, how important is it for the Browns to get a lead? I mean, that it's 28-0 before you blinked against Steelers. I don't think you're going to get that much, but how important is a lead?
I mean, it's huge. And obviously, as we talked about off the top, Kansas City can close a lead in a snap. I mean, you look at the Miami game that the Chiefs played earlier this year, played one of the worst first halves of football I've ever seen that offense play, and yet they took a lead into the locker room. So Kansas City can play really poorly and still end up, on top, end up in the lead. So it's certainly beneficial to get out front and kind of try and hang on if you can. And the other thing that does is it does allow the Browns to kind of lean on Nick Chubb and lean on Kareem Hunt, because not a lot of teams have that. So, Kansas City, yes, they've come back. Yes, they've closed these big gaps, but they've never had to try and stop Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, trailing 14 points going into the fourth quarter. That gives the Browns an edge, and that's really where you would see the Browns, I think, really lean on that run game and make Kansas City stop them.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the Plain Dealer. We'll step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from Andy Reid talking about his former star running back, Kareem Hunt. More sports, and Les Levine will be right back. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. More sports, and Les Levine continues. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. Browns getting ready to face the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. For Kareem Hunt, a Northeast Ohio native, it's a reunion. He was a star for the Kansas City Chiefs before off-the-field issues kind of derailed him with the Chiefs. He got released. The Browns picked him up. But Andy Reid, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, still has some real fond memories of Kareem Hunt.
He's a heck of a player. Absolutely. Both those two. I mean, that's a dynamic duo right there. Those guys, man, they are good football players. And listen, we love Kareem. I mean, he was here and he's a heck of a kid. And, he just, I'm so happy for him that he's doing well. And really, when it's all said and done, that's the most important thing. You put the game aside and you want to make sure these guys end up head in the right direction so they can sustain that the rest of their life, and I'm happy for them.
Andy Reid talking about Kareem Hunt, and let's bring back in Dan Labbe. And Dan, Kareem Hunt said, he was excited. It was personal facing the Chiefs. He's a guy that is motivated, plays hard to begin with. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes out at Arrowhead on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how he approaches this game. Obviously, he's talked about having a lot of friends there, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, guys he played with. And, it's obviously one of those situations where the Chiefs didn't let him go because they didn't want him anymore. So it's not like one of those sort of revenge game sort of things, I think, for Kareem Hunt. But, he watched this team go win the Super Bowl last year. And he should have been a member of that football team. And I think that's something that's kind of driven him this year and kind of made him want to get the Browns there even more than he did in the first place. So this is an opportunity now for him to go to the stadium he used to play in and go at some guys that he's friends with and get some bragging rights. And more importantly, try and get the Browns past the defending Super Bowl champs, a team that he felt like he probably should have been on last year.
Browns practiced again. A couple of practices in a week. Go figure. Haven't had that in a while.
Knock on wood.
Hodge back. Joel Bitonio still on the COVID restricted list. Have we heard any update? Is it just a matter of the timing of it, the negative tests, or is there a reason for real concern that Bitonio may miss?
I still think it's a little early to have concern about whether Bitonio will come back. It wouldn't surprise me if he's back on Friday, but you've still really got a couple days here to activate him before that game. So, if based on what he kind of wrote over the weekend for the Browns team website and kind of what, the lack of concern so far from Kevin Stefanski or other coaches about the situation, it just seems like it's a matter of time at this point. So I don't think right now there's any cause for concern that Bitonio won't be back for Sunday.
How big is it getting, Denzel Ward, Kevin Johnson back? Because, I mean, let's be honest, the guys that stepped up did admirable, but man, I don't want to see Tyreek Hill going against those guys in a game where you're playing to get to the conference final.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not Robert Jackson's fault that he was out there on Sunday night and the Steelers were going at him over and over again. At some point, this is a guy who was a practice squad cornerback, way down the depth chart. He shouldn't be a starting safe or a starting cornerback, I should say. He's a guy that's more depth. So Denzel Ward, look, he's really fast. He's not scared of any challenge. You want to see him kind of go against Tyreek Hill over and over again. The only thing you've got to watch is, he talked yesterday that he was pretty sick from this thing, and we know how it's affected Myles Garrett. It didn't seem to affect B.J. Goodson a whole lot, even though he also said that he was really sick from it on Sunday night. So, let's see how Denzel Ward kind of comes out of this. Is he going to be able to play 100% of the snaps like he normally would, especially because at the cornerback position, more so than at Myles Garrett's position, you've got to run up and down the field over and over again, and this Chiefs offense is going to test you.
Yeah, and Kevin Stefanski admitted they got to monitor him through the week and just see how he is. You mentioned Tyreek Hill, and Hill is a guy who can he has the ability to literally break a playoff and go to the end zone for a touchdown anytime he touches the ball. He isn't taking the Browns defense lightly at all. Take a listen to Tyreek Hill.
They definitely a building team, so very good team, very young team. Offense is tremendous. Defense is good, so I feel like we cannot take this opponent lightly. Like, we got to play this game just like any other game. Come out, play hard, and just be the Chiefs, So they got a bunch of playmakers on both sides of the ball, so we just got to play ball, And, I know my brothers in the locker room, like, all of them ready for the challenge, So it's going to be a good game. So, no, you're not going to get the great face mask comment from me. No, you're not. Let's go.
Tyreek Hill poking a little fun at J.J. Smith-Schuster. But Sammy Watkins is going to say not much competition. Hello. So it's the other receiver that's gonna give the Browns some grief.
Right. I don't know why guys keep doing this. I don't know why Juju said what he said, against a Browns team that's already kind of down, already battling against a lot of things and taking on that us against the world mentality to say something like that. Sammy Watkins. We know Kevin Stefanski. He admitted earlier this year when Kadero Hodge said something about the Titans that wasn't really all that controversial, but it made some. He admitted that if somebody said something about his team, he would certainly use every angle that he gets. So I'm sure that even though the Browns have been, pretty even keel about it, if they win this game, we're going to hear some shots taken at Sammy Watkins for what he had to say on Twitter the other night.
What do you see as kind of the recipe defensively? Do you think they'll try to keep everything in front of them? I mean, that offense is almost like a basketball thing. They score and then it just everything starts snowballing. The defense gets into it, and then the offense can't wait to get back on the field. And then there's another big play and another big play.
Yeah, I mean, basketball is a great way to put it because they really try to operate in space. They'll spread you out, and you've got to chase guys around, especially like I said earlier, when Patrick Mahomes starts to create. And he can hurt you with his legs too, and that's the thing that really kills you when he breaks off a big run like he did against the Titans last year. So, what they really need to do is try and find a way to get pressure with four, and that's really difficult because you don't have Olivier Vernon out there. So they're going to need Sheldon Richardson, and they're going to need Larry Ogunjobi, maybe Jordan Elliott to kind of step up and help Myles Garrett out, get that pressure with four, so that you can have 7 guys in that secondary who are able to kind of rally to the football, make sure guys don't get beat deep. I think that's kind of where it starts. And the other thing is Kansas City doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Now, Patrick Mahomes, he's thrown 4 interceptions here towards the end of the year. 3 of those came against Miami. I know at least one of them was kind of weird. It went off a receiver's hands. But when you get those opportunities, and this has been a very opportunistic defense, as we saw against Pittsburgh, if Kansas City gives you those opportunities, a tipped pass, a dropped pass in the air, you've got to take advantage of it and try and get those.
Let's Dan, we're gonna take a phone call. Let's welcome in Jack from Erie. Jack, appreciate the call. What's on your mind tonight, Jack?
Well, first of all, I mean, you talk about a therapeutic win on Sunday night. I mean, I've had to have friends that are still. I've had to live with these people. Among them, I hesitate to call them people for all these years, but my God, was that just wonderful to see. I wondered in the long term. I wanted to just step back for a little bit, and then I have a question about the game specifically. But I wondered if you guys think back to LeBron's first year in the playoffs, his third season overall, and I remember. The goal was to just win one round, and they did. They beat the Wizards. And then everyone said, well, you're going to get swept by Detroit. They've been to back-to-back finals. They won it. But that experience is vital. And then they took them to 7, and they almost won that series, had a chance to clinch it at home. Do you sense any similarity that, like, okay, like the job's done, but now they legitimately are playing, I hate to use the phrase, it's cliche, with house money, that they really do have nothing to lose here?
Dan, let's answer that one.
So I think that's fair to say if you want to look at it and say that, look, whatever happens on Sunday this season was a success. And there's certainly so many building blocks in place that you can believe this team will be an AFC North favorite next year. They'll be a pick by a lot of people, maybe even to win the AFC, especially when Andrew Berry fixes his defense. So I think there's something to that. But I also think for the guys in that building, and I think everyone kind of needs to understand, if there's an opportunity, man, you've got to take it in this league because you just never know. You never know if the wrong guy's going to get injured at the wrong time. Look at the 49ers. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They were up 10 midway through the fourth quarter. This year, injuries just killed them, and they go 6-10. So opportunities can be a little fickle in this game. I think this team and this organization are building something that can be sustainable. But if they get out there on Sunday and they can run with the Chiefs and they have an opportunity to win that game, they've got to take advantage of it.
Jack, what do you think? What was your question about this game specifically, the Browns-Chiefs game?
Yeah, and I apologize if you already addressed it. I was just able to tune in, but I know that the touchdown. I heard an interview with Jim Donovan. Touchdowns more than field goals. Do you think? And I know that Kevin Stefanski's been pretty aggressive on fourth down. Do you think that we could see a situation where first quarter, maybe like, for example, 4th and 4, the Chiefs' 14-yard line, just out of the blue, and they go for it? Could you see them being really hyper aggressive on fourth down in this football game?
Jack, appreciate the call. We'll let Dan go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you answer that, and then I'll chip in.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. They understand that they're going to have to probably score some points to win this game. So, I think in that situation, yeah, they might decide to take 3 points there, but it wouldn't shock me if they said, you know what? No, we've been great in the red zone all year. Let's get after it. Let's try and get a touchdown out of this because 3 points isn't going to win this game, especially if it's early in the game.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either, especially if it's scoreless or tied. If they're behind, they may take the points just because you don't want to come away empty. I think they're going to want to get out in front. And remember, the Chiefs are a team that trailed in every playoff game they had a year ago on their way to including the Super Bowl, on their way to that Super Bowl title. They were behind in every playoff game.
And they were behind big to the Texans, if you remember that game. I think it was 24-0 at one point, and then I believe they actually had the halftime lead in that game, or close to it. So, this is a team that in the Chiefs that they don't need much. They don't need much opportunity. And I also go back to, the last time the Browns played the Chiefs, I believe it was Greg Williams' first game. Now that feels like forever ago, and that's not related to Kevin Stefanski at all, but I'll never forget Greg Williams came out in that game. He was very aggressive on fourth down, and he went for 2 a number of times. Now, I'm not saying the Browns are going to be reckless going for 2, but it wouldn't surprise me if they've got a play they like, or I don't know, maybe the Chiefs commit a penalty to give the Browns half the distance to the goal or something on the try. If Kevin Stefanski even gets a little aggressive going for 2 here and there.
How important is that start? If the Browns are really good when they play from in front, in part because you turn around, you give the ball to Chubb or Hunt, and you watch the clock tick away.
Right. This team has been such a good fast starting team. Against Tennessee, you can go all the way back to Dallas. Of course, last week against Pittsburgh, it just really kind of snowballed. And if you can get off to a good start against this team, I do think this is different than, when the Texans built that big lead, when the Titans had that lead. Now, obviously, the Titans have Derrick Henry, but the Browns' running game is just different. Their offensive line, especially if it's whole, is just different. And I think the Chiefs trailing this team by 14 points in the third quarter, or even 20 points maybe to start the second half, I just feel like it's a little different because they haven't had to come back against a team with this good of a line and these two running backs.
The other thing is that, they rested a lot of their guys. Now, they were beat up and they needed the rest. So you have a number of their starters, their key players that haven't played in 2 weeks. We've seen in the past when there used to be multiple teams on byes in the playoffs that there is something to that rust kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there can be, and especially in a situation like this where the Browns are so confident and so hot. I mean, they certainly could catch the Chiefs kind of trying to knock off that rust a little bit. And somebody tweeted at me earlier this week, the Chiefs starters haven't played in 20 some days, and it kind of hit me like, yeah, by the time this kicks off, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be close to 21 days since the real game. So if the Browns can come out and be more physical, especially on the offensive side. I mean, that offensive line is so physical. You go back and watch these games and see what Wyatt Teller does and what Joel Bitonio does, just running over guys. It looks like, Ohio State versus a low-level MAC school sometimes with what these offensive linemen can do. And we're talking about NFL players against NFL players. It's incredible. So that physicality could be an advantage for the Browns early in the game.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the Plain Dealer. We have to take a timeout. When we return, we'll tell you how we think this one's going to unfold, some keys to this game, and who we think might win this one. More sports and less Levine. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Shelley, our garage floor is just awful.
I know. We really need Nature Stone.
Cracks, uneven concrete, it's slippery.
I keep telling you, we need Nature Stone.
Coach, only Nature Stone solves all those problems. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your garage floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Herb, Nature Stone fixed every problem in our garage.
I told you.
It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
More sports and Les Levine continues. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. There are a lot of Northeast Ohioans that are playing on the Chiefs and a lot of common threads between Kansas City and Cleveland as far as the football world goes. One that's been a little overlooked maybe is John Dorsey. Dorsey helped build the Browns roster with some of the moves he made a couple of years ago, and he also was the architect of Kansas City when he was the general manager there. Andy Reid was asked, does he see some of the similarities between the two franchises and the two teams with John Dorsey's thumbprint on it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he did a nice job here and there, and so of bringing people in that can play football, and so you see that, and yes, I would. So I'd answer you yes. I could see that.
Andy Reid talking about the thumbprint of John Dorsey on both the Chiefs and the Browns. Let's welcome in Dan Labbe. And Dan, you can certainly see that with just the way this thing is built.
Yeah, a lot of this team is sort of vintage John Dorsey. I actually think what I like about this team is you can kind of go back through, with Andrew Berry now, and then of course Dorsey, and even going back to Sashi Brown, you can kind of tie all these things together to how this thing has been built. But Dorsey's thumbprint is definitely on it, because think of all the key players we've talked about. Kareem Hunt, John Dorsey gave him his second chance. I don't think we've mentioned Jarvis Landry yet, but he's going to be he's kind of the Browns version of Travis Kelce for Baker Mayfield. He's where he needs to be, and Baker knows where to find him when he's in trouble. Dorsey went and acquired him. Denzel Ward, of course, Mayfield. Wyatt Teller, a guy I mentioned earlier. We could just kind of go through the list, and John Dorsey, kind of the old scout from that Ron Wolf school. He'll come in and he'll find talent, and he'll add a bunch of talent to your team. And the string might run out kind of quickly with Dorsey sometimes, but when he's here, he adds guys.
Yeah, without question. And it's kind of interesting because Andrew Berry has done a nice job of not having to put his thumbprint on it and say, well, that's Dorsey's guy. There hasn't been that with this organization. I think that's been one of the most impressive things about Andrew Berry, a young guy who had enough confidence, enough self-confidence that he didn't feel like he had to get rid of Dorsey's guys. We're going to make them my guys and figure out how to build this.
Yeah, it just goes with kind of what we know about Andrew Berry. It's not really all about him. It's about building this team the right way. And I also think it helps that he kind of goes back in that thread. Sashi Brown brought him here, but he was with John Dorsey at the beginning before he left for Philadelphia to work there for a year. So, he kind of has all these different backgrounds, Andrew Berry does, and going all the way back to Bill Polian in Indianapolis. And I don't think when he came in, he said, I'm not going to look at these guys as, John Dorsey's guy, Sashi Brown's guy, my guy. I'm going to look at them as the Cleveland Browns. And to his credit, he's really lived up to that and held that promise.
And you make a really valid point. He has some of the influences of some of the elite general managers. When you talk Polian, Dorsey, Roseman over in Philadelphia. I mean, Andrew Berry got a PhD firsthand, with the people he's worked with.
And he's got that scouting background. I mean, he came into the league as a pro scout. I wrote a story about him back when he first got hired. And he told me about sitting out in the cold at First Energy Stadium because there was no place in the booth for him. But he had to scout. He was doing some advanced work on the Browns' opponent, and he had to scout him. So he's sitting out kind of among the fans in the cold doing this scouting. So this is a guy that has that analytics background and certainly buys into a lot of that stuff. But he also has that scouting background. And I think it really helped him that he was here for a little while to sit in that film room with Dorsey and Alonzo Highsmith and Elliott Wolf and kind of for how they do it. And I mentioned this earlier, kind of going back to that Ron Wolf style of unearthing and finding talent.
All right, time when in our conversations when we have to let everybody know how we think this one's going to unfold. So when you look at this game, what pops out? What do you think?
I just think there's going to be a lot of points. I really do. And I think the line on this game was 10, and it feels just way too high for me. I'm not sure why it's that high. Again, I think maybe it's just not the correction that the Browns are actually a pretty good football team and they're playing really well. I'm not to the point yet where I can say that the Browns will win this game. Maybe in a couple days when I have to submit my pick to the paper, I'll talk myself into it. But right now, I can't do it. But I think it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be close. I'll go 42-39 Chiefs.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think what it's going to come down to, I think this game's going to be up for the taking in the fourth quarter. And I haven't convinced myself that the Browns are going to be able to get the turnover or the stop that they need. And, the concern is with that offense, I think they could get a big play that kind of sends everybody kind of grabbing their heads going, oh, why did it end that way? That is the concern. I think this game is going to be very winnable in the fourth quarter. And my question is, who is going to come up and make the play? Is it going to be a guy for the Chiefs? Is it going to be a guy for the Browns? And right now I feel it's going to be somebody for the Chiefs, but I hope I'm wrong.
And as we've learned, go back and watch that second Raiders-Chiefs game. The Raiders took the lead with about a minute and a half left. So if the Browns are in that situation, they have the ball, a chance to take the lead, and there's like 90 seconds left, maybe they should go back and call that no Moss play that they called against, I think it was Philadelphia maybe, when Nick Chubb ran out of bounds at the 1 yard line, whenever that was, or maybe it was Houston. Make sure that you don't leave too much time on the clock if you've got a chance to score to take the lead.
Absolutely, because the last thing you want to do is let Pat Mahomes have the chance to do anything with the game on the line. Dan Labbe, as always, appreciate the time. I am sure we will be checking in with you next week. Hopefully, we're talking about another preview of a game.
Yeah, maybe on our way to Buffalo or Baltimore next week.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer, and we appreciate his time. Well, we're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk a very hot team in Cleveland. Cleveland State men's basketball coach Dennis Gates is up next on More Sports and Less Levine. Vikings off to a great start. We will have more on Cleveland State men's basketball after this timeout.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine tonight. Cleveland State men's basketball is off to an outstanding start. They've won 8 in a row, 8-0 in the Horizon League. Their head coach, Dennis Gates, in his second year, was Horizon League Co-Coach of the Year, on track to probably do it again. We're going to welcome him in just a minute, but first, let's take a listen to this.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hey. Happy birthday, dear Coach Gates. Happy birthday to you.
Let's welcome in head coach Dennis Gates. Coach, happy birthday. Thanks so much for taking some time with us during your birthday, man. Thank you. I appreciate it, and congratulations on the start.
Well, thank you so much for having me and obviously representing Cleveland State University and our men's basketball program. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all your viewers and all your fans out there.
8-0, you started out a couple tough ones, but boy, Horizon League, you really got some things rolling here. 8-0, what are you doing well? What do you like from your guys during this winning streak?
Well, we're just playing, the style of basketball that fits our personnel. And I think most importantly, we're playing very unselfish on both ends of the floor. Defensively, we're obviously igniting some things and getting momentum going, but our guys just love to play with each other. And we've gotten better since the very beginning. As you know, our non-conference has been cut short compared to years past.
And most young teams need a little bit of time, a little bit of game experiences to galvanize the team effort and obviously get to know each other. So it's been wonderful, and I'm enjoying it, and my staff is doing a wonderful job as well.
You mentioned the defense. Giving up under 64 points a game in the Horizon League. You're averaging over 7 steals a game. Tell me a little bit about what you want that mindset defensively to be.
Well, it's built on toughness. There's no doubt about it. Our young men each have a unique story that molds their personality into what it is, and ultimately it fits the style of and the brand of basketball that's very exciting to play. And all they're doing is executing and being in the right spots. There's a system in place. We grade out every game, every possession. And our young men, I'll tell you one thing, the resilience and the resolve that they're showing is just a byproduct of our leadership on campus. President Sands, Scott Garrett, and obviously have done a great job during this pandemic and preparing not just our team, but the entire department and university.
Now, the Horizon League changed things up because of the pandemic to cut down on travel. So you go and you play a team in your league, and you play them on a Saturday and a Sunday, or a Friday and a Saturday. So you're playing them back-to-back at their place. How much of a challenge is that you get 2 games in the course of a weekend against a conference opponent?
Well, it's different in several ways, but also similar. The preseason in the past, you have MTE tournaments where you play back-to-back, and obviously in conference tournament formats in postseason, you play back-to-back. It's just not against the same team. So the added element is definitely that first game. That first game is built off the scouting report, everything else. And then once 2 teams get to know each other, you throw those things out, and the true character of your team will show up. And that's what that second game, that's what it shows. That's what it reveals to us all.
Given that, you have to be real proud of the way your guys coming off an overtime win in one of those back-to-back second games against Northern Kentucky. How big was that?
Well, that first game, we knew that going into the series that Northern Kentucky, they were the champions in our postseason tournament, representatives of the NCAA tournament, if there was one. And they had championship DNA all over them. We wanted to obviously get out there and set the tone early, and I thought our guys played together, and the score indicated such. But that second game was very tough. We knew that the Northern Kentucky championship version was going to show up, and we went into overtime. But I'll tell you one thing, that overtime builds character. It builds championships, and obviously we're happy that we came out on top, as it will continue to guide us throughout the year.
Getting ready for some important games coming up. You have the Friday, Saturday game against Wright State. That's a team that's up near the top. I believe they're 6-2. You're 8-0 in the Horizon League. How important is this one against Wright State coming up, and what's the message to your team?
Yeah, Wright State is a great program led by Scott Nagy. Over 500 victories. Whenever you're facing a program that's led by a coach with that many wins, there's different experiences that he has. The preseason player of the year in our conference, Loudon Love, is also there, but they have a supporting cast that's well balanced. For us to go in there, we have to definitely take care of the basketball, have a positive assist to turnover ratio, but we got to withstand that first blow that Wright State will ignite us with, or will throw. And once that happens, it's how we will respond. And at that point, the character of our team has to stand out. But most importantly, we get to gauge and see where we are as a program. In this early infant stages of building is definitely one that we're looking forward to.
Dennis Gates, men's basketball coach at Cleveland State. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to return and talk a little bit about recruiting, as well as some other things that are straight ahead for the Cleveland State Vikings. Vikings 8-0 and in first place in the Horizon League. More sports and Les Levine. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Shelly, we really need to get Nature Stone in our basement.
I know, Herb, and it would look great in our laundry room, too.
Coach, only Nature Stone is perfect for your basement and laundry room because it never needs replaced like damp carpet and moldy tile. That's why it comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
And Nature Stone is absolutely beautiful and so easy to clean.
Schedule today at naturestone.com and get up to half your basement or laundry room floor free. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Shelly, Nature Stone is perfect for our laundry room and basement.
I told you.
It's not just a floor. Wow,
it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
More sports and Les Levine continues. Dave Bacon filling in for Les Levine. Let's bring back in men's basketball coach over at Cleveland State, Dennis Gates. Coach, again, appreciate it very much. Tell me some of the guys. Brag to me about some of your players that are doing well, and give me some guy that might be an under the radar guy that fans don't appreciate, but he is vital to what you guys are doing, winning basketball games over there.
Well, I think our leader is Aljavon Eichelberger. He's been hampered with a foot injury, and he's slowly been integrated back. We're increasing his minutes by game, but he has yet to play up to his potential, and that's one of those things that you look forward to moving forward, because we are playing a great style of basketball and having great momentum, and to continue to add the pieces and an anchor like Aljavon is very important, as he's garnered all conference recognition after last season and obviously preseason this year. So he's one. The other young man that I think is really helping us out is Trey Gomillion. Trey has started every single game that he's been here at Cleveland State, and he does so many great things on the offensive end and defensive end, and he's sort of our tough guy, our glue. But there's no doubt about it. You can't play this game without a point guard, and Craig Baudouin has been leading on and off the court. He's been doing a great job in practice, and definitely he's the head, which leads us between the lines. And Demoy Hodge, he's very talented, but we got to get him more consistent, which he's is only in his 8th or 9th Division I game. So we're looking forward to playing the best basketball we can. And I truly believe it's ahead of us moving forward. And that's the day when I can say everyone on the team with our depth has played exactly up to their potential at the same time.
How happy are you with where this program is? You came in and you had more success than a lot of people thought you would. I know last year, there was a struggle to get numbers and the like but now you kind of put your thumbprint on it, and where is this program headed?
Well, last year, we were not excited or happy with where we ended our year. We had so many high hopes, no matter what the outside noise may have thought, or those that looked from a peripheral or afar. This season, our goal is to cut down nets and hold up trophies. And we spoke about the national championship game, Final Four. That's part of our language. That's part of our communication, and that's one of our goals. Ultimately, when you strive to be the best you can, you got to take it in small steps, and those small steps is winning the day. We want to win each day. At this point, we've played 320 Horizon League minutes. The next minute is just as important as the last 320. And we only look at 1 minute at a time. I truly believe that, you know, the best basketball is ahead of us. And ultimately, you know, right now, there's no such thing as a trophy or banners being risen at the middle of a season. So I would love to evaluate where we are in the next couple months. We just have to keep improving and getting better. But it's definitely exciting style of basketball we're playing. We wish that our fans could be there with us. But even though that's not the case, moving forward, they can still support us next year by putting a down payment on season tickets as these doors and as we get through this pandemic for next season.
Before I let you go, give me the recruiting pitch. You want me to come play for you? You want Dave Bacon to come play for you? Yeah. Tell me what I'm getting at Cleveland State. Tell me what I'm getting from Coach Gates.
Well, you'll get my very best every day. You'll get our staff's very best every day. We'll put you in an environment where you can grow. Cleveland State University is that place where you'll make strides as a young man, as a student athlete, and it'll help you develop your future. We are going to build our program on friendship, love, accountability, and trust, discipline, unselfishness, enthusiasm, and toughness. I would love for you to be a part of Cleveland State University. Go Vikes.
All right. So you know what? If I had any basketball ability at all, I'd be signing on to play for you, Coach. Coach, thanks very much.
I'm sure you have a jump shot left.
Maybe a set shot at that point in time. I appreciate the time very much. Happy birthday. And if it were up to me, I'd give you a couple of victories down in Dayton as a present. Thanks so much for taking the time. Best of luck. And you have an open invitation. Anytime you want on the show, give us a call, and we will be glad to have you. Thanks very much.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much.
Dennis Gates, men's head basketball coach for the Cleveland State Vikings, 8-0 in the lead in the Horizon League. Couple of big games in Dayton this weekend. They host Milwaukee at the Wolstein Center next weekend, and those are critical games, so we'll be keeping our eye on the Cleveland State Vikings. Want to thank Dan Labbe for his time, Coach Dennis Gates for his. We're all out of time on this edition of More Sports and Less Levine. We'll see you again tomorrow for the Weekend Winners Edition. Have a great night. Stay safe, everyone.